Good evening and welcome, family and friends, teachers and administrators, principal cousins, Superintendent Gearing and board members, and most importantly, the Dripping Springs class of 2013. It is truly an honor to have the opportunity to speak at this occasion. First off, just because he wouldn't believe me, I want to give a shout out to Garrett Poe. Yeah! And on behalf of the class, I would like to thank all the parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, and friends who are here today for your love and support over the years. We could not have made it to this point without you. Thank you to my mother for keeping me focused on my goals, even if it meant finishing everything at the last second. Because quite often my amazing procrastination abilities were a pretty worthy foe. Thank you to my father for understanding my excellent sense of humor even when no one else in my family got it. Thank you to my sister, Haley, for leaving me alone except when she needed money or a ride somewhere. Because there is absolutely nothing in the world I love more than getting up at 6 a.m. in the summer to drive you to cross-country practice. Thank you to the rest of my awesome family who traveled across the country to be here tonight. And congratulations to my cousin Maya, who had to miss her own kindergarten graduation. Thank you to all my friends for being absolutely obnoxious and insufferable at times. But also the funniest and greatest group of friends that anyone could ever have. Brendan and Hank, thank you for your input on this speech, but I feel like coming up here and reading Green Eggs and Ham would be a bit too thought-provoking for the occasion. And finally, a big thank you to all our dedicated teachers, coaches, and support staff who, despite everything, kept coming back each day. I would especially like to thank Coach Simpson and Senora Foreman for everything they've done for me over the years. When I first moved to Dripping Springs 7 years ago, I had no idea what to expect. Actually, I had a bit of idea. I just imagined rednecks driving around trucks. And honestly, if you look at our school parking lot, I wasn't too far from the truck. I moved here from Detroit, famous for drive-by shootings, carjackings, and being voted probably the worst place to live in America. My dad's favorite story to tell about living in Detroit is that it was more dangerous to wait for a red light to turn green at night than it was to just run the red light because you'd probably get shot and robbed if you waited for it. Even the cops would let you run the light. In Dripping, the most dangerous thing about being at a red light is that my sister has a permit now. And amusingly enough, although there are probably just as many guns per person in Dripping Springs as there are in Detroit, I guarantee you that none of them have ever been pointed at a person. Living and growing up in Dripping has changed my perception of community and what it means to support and take care of each other. Even as you drive by people in the street, they'll all give you the same two-finger wave, and it's absolutely incredible. Because in Detroit, the best gesture you would give usually involved only one finger. It is honestly a community filled with the nicest people I know driving some of the biggest trucks I've ever seen. So my message to everyone is to never forget your roots. You can try to forget the long hours spent sleeping in class, but you can't forget that you had the opportunity to attend one of the best high schools with some of the best educators in all of Texas, even if you weren't awake to know it. Or you can try to escape the boredom of living in a small town, but you can't forget the friendships made and the sense of community that you can only get from a town like Dripping. And while we have grown far beyond Dairy Queen and Super S, luckily, the people who live here have never lost their kindness and compassion for each other, and that's something that we should all carry with us wherever our futures take us. Truthfully, I'm not much of a philosopher. I know, it's hard to believe. I don't claim to know things that nobody really understands, so I guess I wouldn't be a good English teacher either. I know the valedictorian is supposed to tell an inspirational story about the meaning of life that will be forgotten by just about everyone within days. Or spout out some cliche motivational quotes like, "We are the leaders of tomorrow," or "If you aren't first, you're last." Honestly, that last one doesn't make any sense at all, because you can be second, third, fourth, hell, you can even be fifth. But I'm no Ricky Bobby, so if you expected memorable quotes from me, I hope you handle disappointment well. Luckily, this class doesn't need inspiration from me. The people sitting behind me right now are an inspiration. We are the class, with top academic performers going on to the best colleges in the country. We are the class with district, regional, and state contenders in multiple sports, probably some you can't even name. That's okay though, because we live in Texas, so the only one that matters is football. We are the class with some of the best musicians, actors, singers, performers, debaters, speakers, newspaper editors, and artists in the state. We are the class that dedicated more community volunteer hours than any class before us, although to be fair, it wasn't hard to get this fancy cord right here, so we kind of cheated. We are a class of leaders in everything from the amazing PALS organization to the more infamous Citrus Club. We are the class with graduates going on to serve our country in multiple different branches of the armed forces. And of course, we are the class with the coolest and most talented Mr. Tiger contestants ever. Bang, bang. We are the greatest graduating class in the history of Dripping Springs High School. Before I end, I'd like to wish good luck to everyone. Good luck to Miss Cousins, who is retiring after several years as our outstanding principal. My advice to you is to never look back. Good luck to the teachers and administrators, because there is nowhere to go but downhill after you've had the greatest students ever. And from what I've seen of future classes, I'd fear for my sanity if I were you. Finally, good luck to my friends and classmates, the smartest, best looking, funniest, most athletic, most talented, densest, most artistic, and most swole group of people in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dripping Springs class of 2013. Please help me in welcoming to the podium Dripping Springs ISD Superintendent, Dr. Bruce Gearing.